What's up, everyone? Jeff Lerner here, going live on the Facebook, as it was originally known, and later amended to simply Facebook in that famous scene in that movie, The Social Network, right? Sean Parker, Napster guy, told him to drop the. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so we're doing this social media project, if you will, and by project I mean it is a life choice. It is something that we're going to be doing on a very consistent basis. I started several months ago, about 3.5 months ago now to be specific, really emphasizing in social media as a component of my life and my business, which is so bass backwards for me because I for so long was the guy who didn't see the point, and I appreciated social media because yo, what's up, Aaron? Thanks for being here, man. Oh, look, and this platform I use, for anybody who's like, well, how does he do this? So I'll just give you a quick little insight. So I use a platform called BeLive.tv. It's the same platform that Frank Kern uses. A lot of marketers and broadcasters use BeLive. So anyways, BeLive has a feature that lets me see the comments, and it wasn't working until recently, but now I can actually see who commented. So come on, jump out, comment, let me know you're here, and I'll be able to say what's up. So Aaron, thanks for being first. What's up, my man? So yeah, several months ago I started doing this social thing, and it was this is not a normal thing for me. I'm not somebody who's really has bad anxiety or fear around being seen. I was a professional musician for a long time, so I'm used to being seen. That's not a problem for me, but I just never really got the point of spending all this time in this giant labyrinth ecosystem. Let me flash some School of Awesome up on the screen. School of Awesome, by the way, is my thing. If you want to check out more about what I'm doing, what I'm all about, take a look there. I'm working on a course, little training program, all kinds of awesome stuff. It's just pretty much awesome. It's like if you could go to school and just study awesome instead of subjects that you weren't into. But anyway, so the social media thing, I just never really got the point. I was like, it's just a way to waste time. And then the more I started talking to people and I started to really understand what it is, I don't care who you are. I don't care what mission or business you're in. If you have anything in your life that you have any passion about whatsoever, I personally believe that you're crazy not to be utilizing social media. And I get it. I get why people don't, because we forget, or we hear the term social media and we emphasize social and we forget about media. Social media is more media than social. It's a pendulum, and it swings. It starts social. When you first go on social media, you're like, oh, I got my friends, right? I got 7 friends and I'm related to half of them, right? But the more you actually use social media as a tool for anything, especially if you're in any kind of business, and this is why my friend and I actually started a company that now shows business owners how to use social media. It doesn't matter if you're a plumber or a marketer or a roofer, or you run an auto repair shop, or you're an attorney or a chiropractor or what. There is nothing you can do to get awareness in your particular niche, in your particular geography, geographic sphere, whatever. There's nothing you can do that compares to social media in terms of the power and the reach and the connection and the trust factor that comes with it. Social media is this unicorn where you build the authority you're almost like you're on TV, but you can reach anyone. And so we start with social media and we think it's social because it starts with social media, right? And so we're like, oh, well, I don't want to go out and talk about my mission, whatever your mission is. It doesn't even have to be a business. I'm a consultant and an entrepreneur and business owner and marketer, and so I tend to think in business terms. But I know people have created movements on social media. It really doesn't matter what your thing is. Let's say your cause is look at the organization, the Underground Railroad organization, that's solving the problem of human trafficking. Look at what they've done through social media. Look at companies like Charity Water and what they do through social media. Look at, whatever your mission is, assuming there's something in your life that's bigger and more important and has more to do with actual, broad-based impact than just like getting my kids to school and, getting them to soccer practice and paying my mortgage and covering my bills and doing like the bubble life. Like we all do the bubble life, but if there's anything in your life that could theoretically extend outside the bubble, which, for a lot of people, there's a lot of value in extending outside. In fact, I would suggest for most people, there's a lot to be gained by extending outside the bubble, largely because of all the fears and anxieties and insecurities that you have to tackle because it's scary outside the bubble. But social media is how you do it. Like, unless you have a lot of money, unless you can afford, radio ads and Super Bowl commercials and all kinds of craziness, social media is how you do it. And the reason people don't do it is because when you start out with it, it feels social and it feels scary and it feels awkward. But it transitions eventually into becoming media. You just have to stick with it. You have to be strategic with it. You have to try to formulate a plan, try things, test things, approach it like you would a business, right? Like if something's not selling, if something's not clicking, you evaluate it. You don't necessarily pull it right away. You got to give things time. But people don't, because people are so used to using social media as a way to like stay in touch with friends or to, swap jokes with their buddies or whatever, they don't realize what a ridiculously powerful tool they have in their hands to make an impact around anything that they're interested in, and especially if they have any kind of a business. I made this decision that I was going to do it, and it's been a pretty amazing experience. And there's a couple things I want to talk about. I said that, every time I go live on one of these things, it asks me to give it a title. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to talk about? And one of the reasons a lot of people don't do social media is because they're like, I don't have that much to talk about. I don't know what I talk about. I don't know, creating content sounds like this terrifying thing. And I work with business owners all the time on, they're like, well, I'm a plumber, right? What am I going to talk about on social media? How am I going to get awareness or visibility for my business on social media? And I say, well, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you on a job? Give me a couple things that I should know that I can do to prepare myself so I don't have a plumbing emergency. How do I keep my toilet from getting clogged? Is there anything you could teach me to do myself, like some DIY stuff, so that I don't have to call you, but maybe out of the goodwill, when I have a bigger job, I would call you. Like, everybody's got a lifetime of stuff to say and stuff to share. And social media is a great way of figuring out what it is that your life experience has really added up to, what value your life experience has to offer in aggregate. And saying I don't have anything to say is, I don't want to be like too, pejorative about it, but it's like saying nothing meaningful has happened to me, or I have no ideas about what's happened to me in a way that could possibly interest other people. Like, it's kind of a very critical, negative way of being to say, I have nothing to share, I have nothing to say. So, part of it is just the consistency of forcing yourself to actually do it. But what happens is it's this very powerful self-propelling exercise, like self-reinforcing exercise, where you start developing this track in your mind of like, hey, if I'm going to be having to say things, then I need to have things to say. So let me be generating more ideas. Let me become more fertile and abundant with ideas and things to say and things to share. And it starts to change the way you see things, and you start to perceive things and go, oh, that's interesting. I should talk about that. It actually, I believe, is a way of upping your own mental standard. If you know that your thoughts are going to be broadcast at some level because you're going to be, consistently broadcasting your thoughts, then you start to hold yourself to a higher thought standard. And it's been super powerful. This morning, I was at the gym, and I actually have a staggering number of pretty, profound realizations. I think they're profound for me because I go, oh, I feel like something just shifted in my mind. I don't know if they're profound for other people. Although I will tell you that the majority of the quote cards that I've published, which I think is about 140 now over the last 3.5 months, these quotes that I publish on Instagram and Facebook that frankly get a lot of really good feedback. The majority of those I have written on the bike at the gym. I usually write them between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning while I'm biking at the gym. And I'm just thinking and going over what happened to me the previous day and trying to draw conclusions and make connections. And anyways, a lot of, I don't know, I think there's something about getting the body engaged first thing in the morning that also stimulates the mind. But your energy reservoir is full from the night's sleep. So anyway, this morning I was thinking about what I went live about yesterday about money, about the insanity around money. And I think as generally as people, we have insanity around a lot of different parts of our lives. I know people that have insanity around their relationships in their life. The romantic part of their life is a mess. Insane relationships with money, insane relationships with stuff and material things. Some people have insane relationships with their family. Like, by no means is insanity compartmentalized to our relationship with money. But I had I think a pretty interesting aha moment this morning on the heels of what we were talking about on the live yesterday, where one of the things I was observing is that throughout my experience of promoting stuff online and helping people, buy training and learn to start businesses and do stuff like that, one of the things that I've observed is that very often people are willing to spend money to buy information or a presentation of other people's results, either other people's information or to learn about how other people got their results. But then when it comes time to go try to apply it and actually get their own results, they won't spend any money in pursuit of that. They'll buy money for other people's training, but if the training says, okay, well, here's what you do. You set up a business, you set up an e-com store, you set up an affiliate campaign, you set up you create your own course, you set up whatever it is, whatever the digital business is or even the physical business is. Like even franchise owners. I used to own a franchise and I knew other franchise owners, and they would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the franchise, but they would never want to spend any money on advertising the franchise. It was like, I'll buy into the turnkey thing and I'll pay whatever it costs. Or I'll pay for the information. I'll pay for the handbook or the manual on how to do it. But then when it comes time to actually spending money to promote my thing and grow my thing, suddenly I get terrified about spending any money. And so this morning at the gym, I was thinking, I was just kind of replaying some of what we talked about yesterday, and it hit me. Because yesterday on the live, we talked about the part of the brain that makes conservative, risk-averse money decisions is the same part of the brain that's involved in socialization, right? In our social emotions. But the part of the brain that is reckless with money is more about like the solitary, almost like hedonistic, indulgent part of the brain. Like it's the same part of our brain that's stimulated when we if we do drugs or we, deviate and do things that we don't want anyone to see, right? So here's what hit me is internet-based training and internet-based opportunities are things that we buy when we're alone. So the part of our brain that's firing when we're making that purchase, for better or for worse, it could be something amazing, but the part of the brain that's firing when we make our internet purchase is the part of our brain that operates in isolation. And I would suggest that's probably the same. This is probably true of like franchises, brick and mortar. Like anytime you're buying something that's about an opportunity for yourself, it's a very self-focused thing to do. And so mentally, we're doing it in isolation. But then the part of our brain that would have to fire for us to spend money on advertising, on promoting ourselves, on connecting ourselves out, on getting attention and awareness to our business, that's actually a different part of the brain. And that part of the brain that's connected, whenever we start thinking socially, we start thinking in terms of other people, is more conservative when it comes to money. This hit me like a ton of bricks this morning at the gym because for years, I have been frustrated. I have been like banging my head against the wall going, how come people are so willing to spend money on an opportunity or on education or on information, but then they won't actually spend money to go promote the opportunity or to create awareness of what they're doing or to put themselves out there. It's because the part of the brain that buys an opportunity is the independent part of the brain. But the part of the brain that would have to spend money to promote the opportunity is the social part of the brain. And the social part of the brain is the same part of the brain that's conservative about money. I stumbled onto this yesterday. I was doing research and it was saying risk-averse conservative financial decisions stimulate the same part of the brain as socialization, the social emotional center. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that means whenever we're thinking about advertising, we're using the part of our brain that's more conservative than whenever we're thinking about buying a business or buying training. Well, no wonder so many people are buying businesses and buying training and then stopping short of actually going out and promoting them. Like this is like this for you guys watching, this may not be that big a deal to you. I have been trying to wrestle with this question for like a decade of my life. And it finally makes sense that whenever we get other people involved in the equation, we become financially more conservative. That's why people will buy money to build things and they'll spend money to build things and then they won't spend the money to advertise them. Because advertising is about relationships with other people. I gotta like exhale. This was like so, so powerful and insightful for me. So what this means is, if you're anyone like many who's online and you're ever going to spend any money on anything that's like how to grow myself, how to do better, how to promote myself, how to promote my business, how to expand awareness, how to launch a charity in 90 days or less, like whatever, understand that the passion and enthusiasm you have for buying the thing and investing in the training and for the idea of the doing is going to start to fizzle out. You're going to transition to a different part of your brain when it actually comes time to create awareness and get exposure. And if you haven't thought that through ahead of time, or I don't know, there seem to be a handful of us that like, I don't know, that synapse is broken or something because we will spend the money to promote ourselves and to create awareness and for run ads for our business. But just, think that through. Look at yourself. Do a self-assessment. Look at your personality and make sure that you're not just ready to invest in learning how to do something, but you're actually ready to invest in doing what it takes to actually do it, even when it involves other people. So often, as soon as other people get involved, we shut down or we get conservative. And that's why I think so many people are not using social media as this incredible tool that it actually is, because it by definition involves other people. And it's not just like running a TV ad where it's broadcasting to anonymous people you'll never see. With social media, it starts with people that you're going to have to see again, or you feel that consequence of like, well, I put my message out and then I'm going to have to hear about it because I'm going to see my friend or I'm going to see my neighbor. Or I'm going to hear about it from my cousin or my brother or something. And so we don't do it. And in so doing, it's mind-boggling that like after years and years of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube creating the most ridiculously powerful syndication networks that any of us have ever had access to in any lifetime of human history ever, most of us aren't using it. I have a list upstairs. My B2B marketing agency upstairs has a list of 40 million small businesses just in the United States. 40 million registered small businesses. We've broken them down by what they call SIC codes, the standard industrial classification codes. And so we have within certain niches, we have about 16 million that fit our target based on the SIC codes, but we have a list of 40 million businesses. That's 40 million people that should be using social media to get exposure to what they're doing. And the fact that 39.99 million of them won't do it because they don't want to inadvertently advertise to their mom or their friend, or because it seems too good to be true that you could actually get awareness without having to, call your Yellow Pages rep and be like, hey, I want to drop $2,000. We divorce it out of our minds because, again, the fact that it's social means that it processes through a different part of our brain, and that part of our brain is more conservative than the part of the brain that we typically use to run our businesses. This was super powerful for me. Have I mentioned that this was super powerful for me when I realized this morning? Like I don't know let's see who's watching right now. Let me see if there's anybody I recognize who's watching right now. I see hey Jordan, what's up, man? Jordan popped on. Aaron's here. So for I know it's just, anybody who's watching this, it's like a digital entrepreneur, any kind of business owner. I'm explaining why we have reservations about spending money to create awareness for things that we have no reservations about spending money to build. This is like breakthrough moment here. So here's the other piece of why I want to suggest that we all push ourselves into this social media place. So I've been doing this for 3.5 months. And wait, hold on. So advertising is a mirror and people want to be loved. So Aaron commented, advertising is a mirror and people want to be loved. I need to process that for a second. Advertising is a mirror. Feel free to comment more. Like you might have like legitimately melted my brain on that one. It sounds deep, but I'm not sure I'm like processing it as deeply as it deserves to be processed. I mean, I get it. Advertising is a mirror. People want to be, oh, I get it. When you advertise, well, tell me if I get it. When you advertise, you find out it's like you're looking at yourself in a mirror. And so, and since people want to be loved, they're scared to advertise because they're scared to create the mirror in which they might see themselves not being loved, judged, criticized, ridiculed. In my case, if you're on social media, it's like crazy the stuff that you see when you start putting yourself out there. You get, I would say bullied, except like I feel like bullying is a reciprocal deal where you have to like almost give them permission or give them power. There's people try to bully you, they try to cut you down, tease you, make fun of you, and it's been super interesting. This is the qualitative, unintended benefit of doing this social media. Yes, okay, good. That's what he says. He says, if you put yourself out there and no one responds to you, then you feel like you will be emotionally destroyed. Man, is that true? Yesterday, I did my first public Facebook Live ever. And while it was live, I had a maximum of 2 people come on live. And I was really, I was going for it. I was like pounding the desk and emoting and sharing this wisdom and I was in it. My energy was high and there were 2 people. I could have been emotionally broken by that and gone, man, I am such a loser. Now, the next morning, I woke up this morning. This was yesterday. So as of this morning, there were almost 300 people that had watched it. So what Facebook told me is, because you kept your energy high, because you were engaging, because you didn't act defeated, because you didn't let the fact that there were only 2 people watching make you feel like a big fat loser and take your ball and go home and quit and be negative and be depleted, your content was actually reasonably engaging, and so we kept showing it to people. After you were done, long after you hit end broadcast and you weren't recording anymore or broadcasting anymore, we were like, hey, People actually watch this thing. So we'll show it to more people. We'll notify more people. And now I've got 300 people that watched it. That was my very first one. I've only been doing any kind of social media marketing for 3.5 months. So for those of us that know how this kind of stuff works, let's think about that. I've had, let's see, yesterday I did 2. I haven't checked the numbers, but between the 2 I did, I've had, probably 500, maybe 500 views. How much would we have to pay as business owners to get 500 people to, and when I say views, Facebook counts a view as somebody that watched for at least 3 seconds. Any marketers that are watching this, how much would we have to pay to get 500 people to watch our ad or watch our stuff or look at our business or check out our brand or whatever, or hear our pitch, listen to our cause, get to know us for at least 3 seconds? 500. I think we're all used to paying probably around $1 a click. And a click doesn't mean they're going to linger for 3 seconds. Some of us have, time on sites of like 1 second, 2 seconds. So you might be looking at $2-3 a person to get a 3-second view through traditional advertising. So if I did 2 lives yesterday, it took me about 30 minutes and it's been 24 hours, that means I got about $1,000 in advertising in the last 24 hours. Now, I don't really think of it as advertising per se, because advertising has a different energy. Advertising is like, oh, this is a commercial, let me fast forward. Social media, you're actually learning how to do something that speaks to people, how to connect with people. And yet at the same time, it's no secret that you might be a business owner, or you might have a cause, you might be the yoga guru, or you might be the person who's advocating for, finding puppies a place to live, getting people to adopt homeless puppies, or you might be the person who's, promoting Ayurvedic medicine, or you might be the person who's got, some whatever organic way to treat psoriasis, or you might be the person who just, wants people to be better parents and love their kids more. Like whatever your thing is, anything that's, again, bigger than your bubble, bigger than your little life bubble, anything, you don't have to hide it on social media. Social media is actually where it needs to live. So I would argue that 500 views of whatever your message is on social media are worth a whole lot more than those 500 views would be in traditional advertising that would have cost you $1,000. So again, like Aaron astutely pointed out, we don't do this because we feel like if we put ourselves out there and no one responds, I'm literally stealing his words verbatim, then we will be emotionally destroyed. So, and I get it. I've been doing this for 3.5 months, and it's inconvenient. It's one of those things you enjoy it when you're doing it, but you dread I got to do my content. I got to create my content. You got to psych yourself up to do it. But I've had over 1 million video views. I had, I think, 70,000 minutes of videos viewed last week. Like over 1,000 hours of little old Jeff Lerner in St. George, Utah, talking about life stuff, talking about how to have an awesome life, was viewed over 1,000 hours last week. It's crazy. Why aren't we all doing this? Do we all not have something in our life that's bigger than our little life bubble, that actually has potential impact and deserves audience and awareness and energy and focus? Anyway, I was about to talk about the unwritten, sort of unexpected benefit of it is when you start, because of what, this mirror component, and because we operate from the social part of it, and we think of it as, we think it's like real life. Like we actually think social media is real life. Like we think that if somebody on social media, some internet troll says that we're a loser, like I had somebody the other day say, man, they watched one of my videos and they said, man, this guy, you learn to laugh at it. They said, this guy looks like he dove face first into a pool full of cocaine. Real trustworthy, LOL or something. Or yeah, I'd buy from this guy. I wasn't even selling anything. But anyway, somebody said I looked like I dove face first into a pool full of cocaine. I have no clue what that would look like, but I find it funny. But I find it funny now after 3.5 months of doing this. When I started, I was really getting my feelings hurt. I get it. It's sad and they're mean and you want to take it personally and you put this stuff out there and it's you. It's not your business message. It's not your USP. It's you. It's your heart and soul, right? What works on social media is what's authentic. So you authentically put yourself out there and you set yourself up for criticism and people try to hurt you. And it does. It's at first you're oh, that sucks. I'm never doing that again. Oh, why would anybody expose themselves to that? But after a while, you realize all this negative feedback is teaching me way more about the world than it's teaching me about myself. They know nothing about me, but they're telling me a lot about themselves. And on the flip side, all the positive feedback shows you that what happens is you see very quickly the human tendency to fixate on the negative. Because if I look at all my comments and I look at all the feedback I get way more positive feedback than negative feedback. I get way more right on, yeah, thanks for the message, that was great. I mean, I had somebody the other day message me and say, I listen to your videos every single day now when I wake up. It's the first thing I do is I listen to your videos. That's what ought to move me. That's what ought to land in my heart and make an impact, right? Is that guy, not the that want to tear me down, but as human beings, we never set ourselves up to potentially have that impact. We never set ourselves up to actually potentially reach somebody. I had a guy, I don't know when he did it. I posted it on my page last night. He was telling my life story as an inspirational message to his audience. Most people never set themselves up to have the opportunity to make impact like that because they're worried about the guy that's going to say they look like they dove face first into a pool full of cocaine, which actually, if you can just toughen up a little bit, is like actually kind of funny. Like these internet trolls, they have no merit, they have no substance, but they do spend a lot of their time thinking about how to sound superficially clever and funny. So at the very least, just learn to appreciate them for that and then just move on. Anyways, hey, this has been a longer talk than I wanted, but I'm not apologizing for that. I had a lot to say this morning, and I will be back again tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day, and I could keep saying that over and over and over again, because let me tell you what's happening. And what I've learned about social media is, and I talk about this, the value of social media is you set a standard for yourself, and then, gosh darn it, you want to live up to it. Because when you start saying, hey, I'm going to take the best version of myself, and I'm going to put that version of myself out there, then suddenly, if you don't live up to that, you're a hypocrite, right? So you have to be careful. You have to really think through who you want to be, and make sure that that's the voice you use, because we're all a bundle of voices. Let's not kid ourselves like, oh, that's inauthentic. No, it's very authentic. We all have different layers to our personality, different aspects to our personality, and at any given time, in any given situation, we get to choose who we are and how we show up. And so when you go live on social media, you say, I'm going to show up a certain way. I'm going to show up as the best version of myself. Oh, I just set a standard. Now I need to be more like that guy all the time. And that's actually really, really positive. So what I'm saying here is by committing to this repetition of social broadcasting, of social media broadcasting, and realizing that it's more media than social, especially as it grows over time. I'm setting a standard. I'm setting an intention for my life. And I encourage you guys, this is the third live that I've done. And the sum total of my promotion, my marketing has been 3.5 months. Like, strap yourselves in, guys. Let's do this for a year or two. Let's do this for 3 or 5 years and see where this goes. I promise you, if no one else will do it with me, I will do it myself and prove that social media is by far and away the most powerful vehicle that any of us have ever had our hands on in our lives, especially right now while it's young. You wait 10 years, it may be different, but right now while it's young, you can build a huge anything with social media if you'll commit yourself to the process. Not just the process of using the platform, but the process of what it does for you. And if you learn to see that as a very positive thing, which I believe that it is, a very powerful thing, because you're projecting standards and then you force yourself to live up to them. Guys, this social media thing, it's like it's like therapy and consulting, like therapy to make us a better person, consulting to make us a better business owner, and like the ultimate broadcast syndication medium all in one incredible package that's free to create the content and very inexpensive to promote it. All right, folks, that's all I got for today. I'll catch you tomorrow.